always like at the back here. I've got action. I've got to make sure that we're rolling, because sometimes, you know, with these things that you press the button and you realise in all the lights and all that, it didn't actually record anything.
Yes.
I'm here with the very beautiful Fiona. It's been an amazing week for you in that not only have you contributed some interviews and your own wonderful article about the Eating Disorder Awareness Week, but also your beautiful mom, Frida, and then your wonderful father, John, have also contributed. This is lustforlife.com. They sort of dealt with what was for you a 12-year battle with anorexia.
Yeah.
You know, in your own kind of sense of what the week has been like, I don't know whether, you know, this is kind of a joy for you to get involved, or whether you feel it's kind of like, well, this is something that I have to revisit, and it's not easy, but I want to do it for other people, or?
I suppose for me it's a joy to get involved, and B, a necessity to get involved. I suppose I kind of, before I took on so much work with it, I had to really take on the approach of getting emotionally disconnected from it, right. Because seeing it as a job, because I had to learn to get a balance between spending a lot of time on it, because I had to learn a lot of self-care.
Right.
So if I got too involved with it, then it might start to have a hindrance on my own recovery. So I'd never get involved in it in a way that would dampen or hurt my own recovery.
Well, I know one of the points you wanted to make strongly was the media's perception when they especially when they sort of concentrate on the before picture. It normalizes it. It's sort of, you know, the perception can be warped then in regard to what exactly is going on for not only that individual, but whoever's reading it can feel different about it.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think one of the things that I realised as well, especially when I was in treatment centres over the years, is that when these articles come out of before and after pictures of somebody at their lowest weight, or somebody talking about what they ate when they were only having a certain amount a day, it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't help the person who's watching or reading the article, because they just think to themselves, oh, I'm not doing that, therefore I'm okay, or I'm not doing that, I have to do that in order for me to not be okay. And that's why people don't go see treatment, because, or people might not go and see treatment, or they might not be willing to open up about what's actually going on for them, because they think, I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not at a low weight, and up until last year, one of the criteria in order to be diagnosed with anorexia was to have a BMI below 18.5, and I think that's just ridiculous. I mean, there's so many people out there, because anorexia is not the only eating disorder. There's bulimia, there's binge eating, there's overeating, there's overexercise, there's orthorexia, which is an obsession with healthy eating, and it's all about what goes on in here. So you never know who does and who doesn't, because like eating disorder is defined as something to do with your behaviours. Nowhere is weight mentioned in an eating disorder definition in the dictionary. So why should pictures of people at before and after weights have any relevance, or why should naming what your weight was have any relevance?
I know you said yourself that the body is just an injured bystander. That it really is just a kind of a byproduct of what the real issue is, and that is in the mind, whether it be somebody who is overeating or somebody who's undereating, and of course we live in a time ever more so where the pressure of social media as to how we project ourselves and how we look, and because we're seeing happy, shiny people every day on what we feel we should be like, or we should aim for, and I think more than ever this kind of awareness needs to be put out there, because I think anxiety is the number one kind of part of a lot of teenagers' lives now, just that constant anxiety about how they look and about how they're liked and not liked and all those things.
And that's the thing, is that if you have anxiety, which has become a huge topic in recent years, especially on a Lust for Life website, which was started by Noah Breslin-Brezzi, who came out about his own social anxiety, and he's a great rep for it. But anxiety is such a huge part of kids' lives these days, but it's such a thrown around term, and I feel that eating disorders can kind of slip in between, because I suppose anybody can say they have anxiety. I get anxious about, sometimes I was anxious coming here to meet you, do you know?
Right.
But I think when anxiety starts to affect your daily life, that's where it becomes an issue. And then again, that's just mental health. I believe that all mental health issues they're all the same. For me, using food as my coping mechanism, somebody else might use alcohol. Somebody else might use drugs. It's just a way of escaping.
Or veganism. There's lots of different. I don't know for you, for those 12 years, whether there was, there is such a thing as a point where you realise, okay, I'm okay now, I'm over this, or I don't know whether it's always a sort of a gradual kind of thing that's, like any addiction or any kind of illness, that you're never completely over it. You know that it's potentially there, and you've just, you've gotten it under control, and you know how to live, a healthier life.
Well, it's interesting because I was at the National Eating Disorder Awareness Conference last Friday. I bullied my way into it with some past therapists, getting in contact with them, and I said to the man who organised it, I said, I don't believe, me personally, I don't spread this very far, but I don't believe in full recovery. I think that it's something that you learn to manage. For me, it's quite similar to diabetes. Food is my medicine. Now, that's to say I still do enjoy food, but to me, it's something that I have to learn to manage. I have to take care of myself. Like I said, when I was taking on this action with Eating Disorder Awareness Week, I had to say, okay, I have to take a step back and kind of say, okay, well, how am I going to take care of me within this? A lot of it is learning to take care of myself within the situation, so that I don't turn to food, so that food doesn't become my coping mechanism, or it doesn't become. But I've learned, usually the hard way, over the last 12 years, that there's ways to deal with hard things in life without using food.
Right.
Or for other people, that might be without using alcohol, or without using exercise. There's ways to deal with, because life is going to throw curveballs at you, regardless. I mean, life can be shit at times. Life's awful, can be. But
not in Greystones though. Yeah, but I know people outside Greystones.
Well, I have to actually say one thing. Yeah, for people outside Greystones. Life can throw curveballs, and it's going to throughout your whole year. So you have to just learn to deal with it without using food, and that's really what I learned kind of when I took a step back. I never got to a point where, I got to a few points where I said to myself, yeah, I'm doing okay now. But there's always that thing in the back of your head. You learn to manage it. You can make the voice quieter, but you can't make the voice quieter, should I say, actually, but you can make your own voice louder.
I think through life you can never ever be 100% sure you're never going to be in a car crash, but you can certainly prepare yourself for how you deal with a car crash, and just be okay, it's just a car crash, and hopefully nobody's hurt, and you'll get the car fixed and all those things. I think there's the anxiety that can cripple people, and yet you just have to accept the fact that life will not always be great, and the idea is to be prepared for that, not try to avoid every single possible,
Yeah, I mean, we can't, because we aiming to be superhuman. We can't control what goes on around us, but we can control the way we react to it.
Unless you're the happy parents, they seem to.
Yeah, exactly. They've got life sussed.
They sort of mind everything. I think it is the veganism. So I don't know, for people watching this who may sort of feel that they themselves are secretly or not so secretly, struggling. Are there certain places they should go? Are there certain, I don't know if that's, there isn't one kind of website or one kind of place. I guess it depends on your disorder, and there are thankfully many supporting groups and
well, I suppose it's an area that really needs to be strongly worked on, in my opinion. It's there are support groups out there, and I would encourage everybody to go and seek support. But I really would like to. This week isn't just the beginning of where I'm going to start.
Sure.
My
it's not
process.
Just for Christmas.
It's not just for Christmas. My attention is very, very strongly being given to trying to improve the awareness and B treatment of eating disorders in Ireland, because I know for me personally, I went through a lot of different treatment centres and lots of different counsellors and therapists, many of which I only had access to because I had private health insurance.
Right.
And that's not right, because eating disorders don't discriminate. Anybody who has health insurance, doesn't have health insurance, it can get them. So one of my big aims is I want to improve the treatment that's been given, because whatever treatment is being given is not working. I'm seeing too many people, friends of friends, going through the same relapse process, going through the same treatment centre, going through the same treatment types, techniques, and still not getting better. I think in order for this illness to actually be tackled, people need to see it for what it actually is, which is why food and weight needs to be separated, and why it needs to be brought down to the core reason of self-esteem. Right. And if kids are taught about how to manage their own self-esteem and how to actually build their own self-esteem based on things that are outside social media, and how to actually love themselves for who they are, then we're cutting it at the root. We're not. I mean, I don't have any qualifications. I can't deal with taking on somebody as a client. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I can see where they stem from, and if we can get that at the bottom, why not start there? If we can really eliminate, do a preventative approach to it, as opposed to, and improving, because like I said, life throws curveballs, so people will develop eating disorders, so improve the treatment, but cut it at the root would be like, so to me that starts with teaching kids how to love themselves without looking at their phone.
Well, I think just to sort of wrap up, I'll put in the links now to your own work and obviously to your parents, John and Frida, their articles and so forth. But I think it's fair to say that every kid, you know, is at the start of life beautiful. Like, and they are beautiful in every way. That they're happy. Everything is open to them. And it's only when we become kind of self-aware that trouble can start. So I think if we can just tap into the idea, everybody is beautiful, except for Shay Clear. Everybody is actually beautiful, and that it's all about just being happy within yourself, not to feel that if only this, if only that, and maybe if I had look like this or look like that. And you know, look after yourself health-wise and all that. Just, you know, eat healthy, be happy. But certainly everyone is beautiful if they just sort of allow themselves.
Allow themselves be themselves. Allow themselves get to know themselves. Yeah.
Sure. Rock and roll. That's a good way to start our day.
Yeah.
Nice.